the song that found us. In the quiet seaside town of Havenridge, where the waves whispered secrets to the cliffs, lived Eleanor Mayhew, a woman whose heart was a locked chest, buried beneath layers of routine and regret. She was 32, a painter with eyes like storm clouds, and hands that trembled when she held a brush too long. Her talent was undeniable, her canvases alive with color and sorrow, but she hadn't sold a piece in months. Her fear wasn't failure, it was vulnerability. To let someone see her work was to let them see her soul, and that was a risk she couldn't take. Not again. Not after Daniel, the man who'd promised her forever, only to vanish with half her heart 3 years ago. Across town lived Julian Carter, a 35-year-old violinist with a smile that could melt frost and a limp that told stories he never shared. He'd once played in grand concert halls, his music a wildfire of passion, until a car accident stole his mobility and his confidence. Now he taught children at the local music school, his dreams tucked away in the case of his battered violin. His deepest fear was irrelevance, that the world would forget the man he'd been. But his motivation burned quietly, to find a sound, a melody, that could make him feel alive again. Their paths crossed on a rainy October evening at the Lantern, a cliffside café with salt-streaked windows and a jukebox that only played forgotten tunes. Eleanor was there sketching the storm, her pencil tracing the jagged dance of lightning. Julian sat nearby, nursing a coffee, his fingers tapping a rhythm on the table. Then it happened. The jukebox stuttered to life, spilling out a haunting melody, a violin piece neither of them recognized, yet felt deep in their bones. Their eyes met across the room, a fleeting collision of gray and hazel, and something unspoken tethered them in that moment. Over the next few weeks, they kept returning to the Lantern, drawn by that song. It became their secret, their unspoken bond. They'd sit in comfortable silence, her sketching, him humming, until one night he brought his violin. "I think I can play it," he said, his voice low, uncertain. She nodded, her heart thudding as he drew the bow across the strings. The notes poured out raw, trembling, alive, and her pencil froze mid-stroke. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from the way his music reached into her chest and held her. When he finished, she whispered, "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." He smiled, shyly, and said, "It's ours now." Their romance unfolded in quiet electric moments. He'd leave her handwritten notes, tucked into her sketchbook lines, like, "Your hands paint what my heart can't say." She'd surprise him with tiny paintings of the sea, each one a piece of herself she dared to share. They'd meet at the cliff's edge, their special place, where the wind carried his music and her laughter mingled with the waves. For the first time in years, Eleanor felt safe to be seen. Julian felt his old self stirring, the man who'd once believed in his own worth. But the past has a way of creeping back. One evening, as they sat at the Lantern, a stranger approached, a woman with sharp cheekbones and a knowing smirk. "Julian Carter," she said, her voice like velvet over steel. "Still playing that old thing?" Eleanor's stomach twisted as Julian paled. The woman, Clara, was his ex-fiancée, a cellist who'd left him after the accident, blaming him for their ruined duet career. She was in town for a concert, she said, and wanted him to join her on stage one last performance, to remind the world who you are. Eleanor saw the flicker of temptation in his eyes, the pull of his old life, and fear gripped her. Would he leave her too? That night, Julian didn't show at the cliff. Eleanor waited, the wind biting her skin, until she found a letter slipped under her door when she got home. It was from him, scrawled in his messy script. "Ellie, I'm sorry. I need to do this, not for her, but for me. To prove I'm not broken. Wait for me, please." Her heart sank, then soared, then sank again. She wanted to trust him, but trust was a fragile thing. The concert came, and Eleanor sat in the shadowed balcony, her fingers clenched. Julian took the stage, his limp more pronounced under the spotlight, and played not with Clara, but alone. The song was theirs, the one from the jukebox, now woven with new notes, a declaration of who he'd become with her. The crowd erupted, but his eyes searched the seats until they found hers. He mouthed, "For you," and she felt the air rush back into her lungs. Afterward, he found her outside, rain streaking his face. "I'm done running from myself," he said, his voice breaking. "You're my music now." She stepped closer, her hands trembling, as she cupped his face and kissed him softly at first, then fiercely. The taste of salt and relief on their lips. In that moment, a promise hung between them, unspoken but binding. They'd face their fears together. Years later, they'd tell their children about the song that found them, the cliff where they fell in love, and the letter that almost broke them. The jukebox at the lantern still played their melody, a quiet testament to a love that turned two broken souls into a masterpiece.